This is Tokyo. It's one of the largest cities in the world. There's over 35 million people living there. And it's really emblematic of a trend that's happening to global populations now that we all know and love. They're moving to the city. Over 50% of people now live in a city. And London is no exception to this rule, as we've heard from the previous speaker. As people come in, the city grows, but now it's reaching its boundary. It's reaching the legislative boundary, the green belt, and we're really left with a decision. Do we build on the green belt, or do we densify the city instead? Well, there might not be Molotov cocktails and riot gear, but there is a vocal opposition to this idea. And the legislative framework that we operate within also means that densification is the only real option. So if we're going to densify our city, we have to be aware that there's going to be lots of people. Now, people, for me, present an opportunity. It's what makes London great. It makes us a vibrant centre where you can do anything, meet anyone, and achieve anything. But what's great about cities is that not only do you do more, you can do a lot more of more. So let's take the day in the life of an average Londoner. You wake up, you grab your coffee before rushing off to work. You get in, quickly rush through your work before grabbing a sandwich, before going back to work for that meeting that you had, before grabbing a drink with your friends, before going on a date with your girlfriend who you've not seen all week, before going on to the gallery that's closing soon but you really want to see that exhibition, before going home and falling asleep and doing it all again. And sometimes we just need to have a break. So some people have a break outside the city. They leave. They go on holiday and they go to the countryside. But for me, a really great city enables you to have that experience within the city itself. So traditionally, that's happened within our gardens. The garden has always been a bastion for relaxation, somewhere to potter, plant plants, have friends round, or just think about the week that's gone by or the week coming ahead. However, as more people come in, we're in real danger of losing these very, very precious spaces that we have. So as housing is built, we need to make sure that it's not just housing that fills a need and meets a number, but housing that actually takes into account the needs of the people living there, the need for quiet, reflective spaces that we can all unwind and relax in. No? Here we go. So last year, when I had an opportunity to work on a competition for a house of the future, I really wanted to take these two key ideas, the benefits of the bustling, thriving city and quiet, reflective spaces, and bring them together into a single holistic project that could provide a solution to this problem as I see it. So the way I did this was by reimagining the relationship that our garden has with a house in front of it. Instead of it being a plot of land at the back, it can become something that sweeps over the building, and by shrinking the plot, we give something back to the city that we live in, space. Space for public space or space for more homes. Now, the spaces that I've created within that garden should still be able to fulfill the same criteria that a traditional garden does. It's somewhere where you can relax, invite friends round, and they create a transition of interaction from the public realm to the intensely private core at the back, whilst also being flexible and being able to adapt from external to internal and creating a relationship there. For me, the core of the place was the courtyard at the base of the building. It's the most private and quiet space. I wanted to introduce elements of water and greenery, so it really was a place where you could sit, relax, think about the week ahead. But this is London. Spaces can't just be one-trick ponies. They have to do more. So whilst during the week it might be somewhere to relax, on the weekend the space expands, it grows into the internal spaces within the property, and you can have friends round, you can have your daughter's birthday party, or whatever it might be. The space is flexible. But again, this is London. It has to do more. It's not just about how people interact, but also how we can integrate technology into the building fabric so that it does not become just an alien add-on to the buildings that we have and looks out of place. So again, the courtyard becomes the hearth of the home where heat is generated by introducing technology like geothermal heat pumps underneath and external spaces being used for photovoltaics on top. So what do these things look like when they come together into a single dwelling? Well, hopefully, they look incredibly familiar. I was really striving for a kind of radical conventionalism. I didn't want this to be something that was alien and out of this world. It's something that we should all recognize as a house that we live in and we're used to. But one house doesn't make the city. You need to figure out how these things come together. And for that, I wanted to revisit a tried and tested typology that's been in London for a long time, but was removed very recently, the back-to-back house. By introducing the garden spaces the way I have, I improved that typology by introducing light to the internal spaces as well as external spaces to dwellings that otherwise wouldn't have it. The facade, again, is keeping with the familiar. Bricks, timber, materials that we're all used to, and people relate to housing, and social interactions in the way that the house meets the street that we would be very used to seeing today. Whilst that frontage hides a different idea at the back. But one house, again, does not make a city. We need more types of typologies for different kinds of people. So I've translated that idea into flats that could be stacked on top of each other to create courtyard blocks, as well as smaller houses that can be tessellated to form streets. Finally, to pick up on a point another speaker was saying, the older generation, how they could be integrated, I was keen to integrate them into the house itself. So I developed a typology of larger units that would integrate a granny flat, if you like, within the house itself. So grandparents would feel part of the family, whilst also being able to maintain a degree of separation as and when they needed it. As I said, everyone needs some time away to themselves. So what does this future look like? Well, hopefully, fairly similar to what it looks like now. But by reimagining the garden and introducing light into these spaces, I hope to be able to create an opportunity for peaceful, recreational, and reflective spaces to thrive within a